Hey, good morning. You're checking out the Coach's Show. Coach Yarborough is in the house.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Hey, thank you guys for having me again.
I'm Dennis Davis along with Jamie Ulrey. Also, special guest nose guard Josh Smith is with us.
Yes.
How y'all doing?
Good morning, Josh. Welcome.
Glad to be here.
Good.
Everyone seems so well rested coming off of the bye week. Tell me what you guys have been up to, Coach.
Well, a lot of Madden, a lot of joke cracking, stuff like that.
That is awesome. What about you, Josh? What have you done?
Like you said, a lot of Madden, joking, a lot of working out, of course. You know,
I was going to say, there's got to be some, yeah.
We can't just get on the bye week and not do anything, so.
Okay. We're going to see this we're going to see this tomorrow afternoon, Sunday afternoon. We're going to see how they've actually been during the bye week. Have they been lazy?
Yeah, we'll really see the big game, Jensen Beach Tigers. That's Sunday, 3:05 p.m. Coach, can you tell us how you guys have prepared for that game and talk us through that?
Well, like I stated last show, we have to prepare as if they're the best team in the league every week. As if we're facing the best every week. We really don't know a whole lot about them. There's not a lot about the team that's out there, so we just prepare as if we're playing the Patriots.
There you go. Or a good football team, Niners.
Well, here's the thing about this Jensen Beach Tigers. There's not much to be said because they don't even have a social media account. Right. I mean, do you think that's by design? Like they just don't want Bill Belichick to spy on them? I mean, take us through that.
Right. I guess they don't want to be a part of the Spygate. They don't want anybody to know that they have Ocho Cinco playing.
No, we've already decided last weekend that I got to be there Sunday in case I need to dress for them.
For sure, we need a wideout. You have
right? I'm so down for this.
So with the team that is a virtual unknown, and you've kind of given us a sky-high overview, but can you get a little bit more detail on some of the strategies? How do you prepare for something that you know absolutely nothing about?
Well, I mean, you can't prepare for what you don't know, specifically. So what we do is we just focus on what we do. We just focus on getting to the quarterback, which is Josh's job. He's really good at, getting the ball out to our athletes, quarterback center exchange, just polishing and working up on things that we normally do in the day-to-day.
Well, and let's talk a little bit because you had said at the beginning that the biggest team you were concerned about was the Doom, right?
Yeah, to that point, yes,
ma'am. Right. So, like last year, the Doom was the only team you lost against, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, we beat the fire out of the Doom.
We did.
Okay. So, now we can use that strategy, right? Because if that was the team to worry about and we whooped them, I'm feeling pretty good about these Beach Boys. Just saying.
I mean, well, I'm pretty sure, Josh could probably attest to it as well. We feel good about going into any game. We feel that we can beat anybody, not being arrogant or anything like that. It's just that we feel that we put together the best roster in the league, so
I like that. Really. Now, Josh, I'm going to put you on the spot here because I understand that you've got 3 years in AAL or AFL. So how do you feel as part of this Havoc team, nose guard? I mean, you came from University of Alabama, Birmingham, and now you're transitioned into this style of football. How do you feel how we've done this part of the season so far and going forward?
Like Coach always tells us, what's your why? So, you have to have a purpose to play this game, so I just go out day to day and give it my all. I mean, of course, transitioning from outdoor ball to indoor ball, it's a big difference. But, some you have quick learners, some you have, that doesn't get it as fast as others. But I've kind of grasped it very well. So.
Yeah, it's looking like that. Your stats are kind of saying that. And I broached that because you just made the point. You went from outdoor to indoor, which is what the Jensen Beach Tigers were. They were out at 8 outdoor, right, Coach? Mm-hmm. And now they're indoor. So you kind of, as a player that went out in, really had that understanding of what their accommodations are being made to play against us this Sunday, right?
Ma'am.
Okay. Sorry.
Josh, I want to hear your favorite Coach Yarborough story because, when you play for a guy, you get to catch all of his cool catchphrases. I want to know the stuff that me as just an outsider looking in would not know.
Good. Yes.
Get us inside the huddle
Spill
for a
the tea.
second.
Come on.
It's not much. When I first met him, he kind of was on me when I first met him. When we first played against him, he was on me hard, like, you ain't doing this, you ain't doing that. And I was like, okay. I continued. That was my first year. So, I kind of looked up to him because he played nose guard as well.
Right.
He also played fullback. So, I kind of watched his moves, and I took pieces and I put it to myself. And, he started to come up to me after the game and was like, good game. I like the way you play. And ever since then, we've been cool.
I like that. So you like his style of coaching because I know he's kind of a calmer coach.
Yeah, I mean, by being his first year, like I said, he knows the game.
Yeah.
So, by this time, it's not much he should have to coach.
Right.
You should already know what he wants and what he expects out of you. So
I like that. Well, one of the things we've noticed in the first few games and all that is that your guys' loyalty is not just to the team and to the community, but to coach. Yeah. You guys are definitely, loyal to him, and that's because of his leadership and his strength and all that kind of stuff. And we as fans love that. It's more endearing than I think we realize, right?
Right. You definitely have that sense of team whenever just looking at the team from the stands, you can tell that is one unit playing together.
Yeah.
You definitely can pick that up.
Well, we were talking about when Coach was on the field with the ref conversation.
Yes.
Yeah, and then the way y'all came out after that conversation, you came out even harder. You were like, kind of like kids mad. I don't even know how to say it.
All right, so last week we talked to Coach Yarborough about what was being said on the field when it was just the coaches and the refs just kind of hashing it out. I want to know what was on the sidelines, Josh. What were the Havoc players saying when they were just watching Coach Yarborough dig in on the ref? What was going on?
I mean, as far as the coaches and the players, we're all one. We're together. Mm-hmm. We're one. So if one gets upset, then of course we're all going to get upset, and and that he just pushes us and strives us to be the best you can be.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do it, be 100%, do it 100%, and have fun.
So y'all's adrenaline when you're watching that conversation's going up and up and up, and you're kind of thumping your chest a little bit more, right?
Definitely.
Okay, so I knew that was happening because when y'all came out, that was the game turner.
It felt like a good 5 minutes Coach Yarborough was talking to that ref, and it was just the longest feeling ref chat I've ever seen.
It's my favorite.
I don't know, he needed to be tightened up.
Square him away, Coach. What are you doing? That is fantastic. Oh, good gravy. Well, Josh, I'm glad you're here because, we've been talking about bringing some different players in, and you've been an important part of the Havoc. Coach speaks very highly of you. I don't know what he says to you, but he speaks highly of you, just say. But so we're glad you're part of this conversation and, what all we're doing in Florence and with the games and stuff like that. And I wanted Coach to talk a little bit about the bye week. It wasn't just about grooming your skills and prepping for this game, but it was also about community. You guys were in, 7 schools this week?
Ma'am. 7 different schools.
Tell me some of them that you guys were out and what you were doing.
We were a part of the Real Men Read program at Savannah Grove.
Ooh.
And we visited with the JV football team at Wilson High School. We also visited Southside Middle and Sneed Elementary as well.
Yeah, that's just a couple of them, but that's great. And how are the kids receiving you guys out there?
Oh, man, they love us, especially at the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
They love us, So everywhere we've been, Lake City, Florence, they've all, great reception, so they love us.
I think that's fantastic. One of the things we need more is great role models for our kids. Not to get on a sad subject, but bullying is a huge issue, and how we react to it and all that kind of stuff. So having role models come in and just being, showing them what it's like to be an adult. That, maybe one of the players was bullied when they were a kid, but now look at them. They're playing on an AAL team or whatever. It makes a big difference, So right. I love that you guys are out there doing it. I know it makes a big difference for our community, and it makes me just proud to be part of your guys' organization.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Yarborough, I was wondering if you could answer this question, and then I'm going to pass this very question off to Josh as well. But I was wondering, Coach, if you could lead us. Tell us about some of the positive influences you had, namely even like athletes that were great influences on you.
Growing up in Darlington, South Carolina, just a lot. The Brian Scotts, the Orlando Hudsons, a lot of my family members, Brantley Jet, Avery Jet, just so many. My uncle Eric Jet, so many to name. I mean, a lot of positive influences, a lot of great athletes coming from my smaller city, and then you have the Darian Durant's, the Justin Durant's, the Lawrence Timmons, all were good friends. So, just just a lot of different influences. My peers, Jay Charles, just a lot.
Was there one in particular coach that kind of shook you? You know what I mean? Because there's like a teacher or a coach when you're in those pivotal years that kind of was like, got you in a different groove. Was there one of those?
Yeah, two. My high school football coach, Gerald Harrison. He's the first one that made me, kind of let me know that I could play football on a different level. And my uncle, Andre Jet, got me into baseball. I was playing fast pitch baseball at 5 years old. So, he kind of pushed me out off the porch early, and, and made me kind of, it's like, hey, sink or swim. And, look, the world is a tough place. Nobody's going to have pity on you if you're smaller, you're weaker. Yeah. You got to stand up on your own, be your own man. So
that's right.
Those two guys. So.
I love it. All right, so Josh, dun, dun, dun. Same question.
Pretty much, my older brother, I watched him as I was growing up. He was an amazing football player. My mom, she was good at sports, volleyball. She loved volleyball. That was her main sport. So I pretty much looked up to them too. And as far as coaches go, I would say my high school coach and my college coach, Bill Clark from UAB. He always, told us practice make perfect.
Yeah.
And he always talked about the minute details. The minute details, they get you beat.
Right.
When it comes to school, being late for class and not doing your work, turning your work in late, all that goes back to the field. So if you be late outside of the field, you will be late on the field, and that causes offsides, penalties, and stuff like that. So he kind of taught me a lot.
That gave me goosebumps.
That's the thing. What you'll find is that coaches not only give you great advice for on the field,
right?
They give you great advice for in life. Like Josh's point of it's the little details, the minute details. It's all about that. And Coach Yarborough, I'm sure you probably have some catchphrases that you pass along to your players that is good advice not only for on the field but off. What would you find yourself saying that you preach this message the most? What would you say that is for you?
Just the coaching staff in general, we always ask everybody, all the players, what's your why? What's your reason for being here? What's your drive? What's your focus? Playing for the Havoc can't be your end game. Right. Playing on Sundays should be, because that's the highest level of your profession. So, we always ask guys to strive for their best and, give us everything, and we'll give them that in return.
I like it. Now, does Josh feel the same way? Is that the one thing he asks all the time, or is there some another annoying idiosyncrasy that Coach has that I got to know about?
Pretty much what he said, is what's your why?
Okay.
You don't only play for the Havoc. You play for the name on the back of your jersey. So you're not only playing for yourself, but you playing for your family. So you kind of got you have to carry yourself to the utmost high,
And that's on and off the field too.
On and off the field.
That's great. Well, and that's the thing. It's like this isn't your end game. We talk about that all the time. So it's making sure that you're accountable and you're holding yourself accountable at that level all the time. So that's exciting.
So, Coach Yarborough, can you give us an injury update? I know that we're coming off a bye week. This is where a lot of players, they kind of allow the icy hot to heal the wounds, if you will.
Yeah, how's Clark doing?
Yeah, take us through the injury update.
Darryl Clark is doing a little bit better, but he won't be playing this weekend. Because we rather, give him this week off to let him fully recover, because we can't afford to lose him for the long haul, so we rather rest him. And Rashad Carter's out this week as well with a high ankle sprain. So.
Okay. But like we talked about week after week after week, we're deep. We got enough to rotate out, right?
Next man up mentality.
So, okay,
Nick
Jensen
Saban.
Beach Tigers, if you're listening, we're still coming, baby. Okay.
Yeah. I know Josh like that. He's an Alabama fan. So roll Tide.
I'm a Tennessee girl, right?
That's one of my rivals, though.
I know it is. I know. I'm going to sit right here, though, with that. Go ahead.
Coach Yarborough, what is it that you think makes a good coach?
Being loyal to your players, being as transparent as possible, and being able to put yourself in the player's shoes just for a second. Not feeling as if you're above that player or any player at all. Just knowing, each and every one of your guys on a personal level, and just being able to relate.
And then now a question for Josh Smith, nose guard. I want to ask you, what do you think makes a good player?
Being coachable.
Wow.
Okay, rewind. Say that again.
You have to be coachable.
Okay, I'm good with that.
That's a great answer.
That's the best answer I've ever heard.
If you're not coachable, then you can always learn. If you feel as if you can't learn no more, then you shouldn't play the game. So
I need that on a roll tape over and
Listen,
over
without
and over
naming
again.
names, have you guys run across any teammates in your career that have had just a great amount of talent, but they just weren't coachable?
Absolutely.
Like, and then when they're not coachable, like what does that do to the team? What does that do to the play, the game, the season,
morale?
the
Yeah,
morale?
like,
Take us
that's
through
everything.
that.
I can let you go first.
It's pretty much what you call a cancer to the team. Mm-hmm. And if you have one bad cancer cell, it destroys all. So
Right.
pretty much, you have to get rid of that bad cancer cell, or the team will fall by the wayside. So pretty much, yeah.
That's interesting that the same things that apply there apply in every day.
Right.
Because we're always saying that, like in house, like we got to change, we got to grow, we got to learn, or trying something new, or because we don't become regimented because you can't. Life has got to be pliable. And so I love that. That's
Right. Right. You'd rather lose the finger than lose the hand.
right. I don't know.
I was wondering, with the injuries that you have on the team, are you guys all the time like looking ahead to the future when it comes to scouting future prospects and things like that? How do you guys scout future players for the Havoc? Like, how does that work?
Well, as far as the upcoming season or week to week?
Well, I would say both, really. I mean, how do you guys approach that?
Well, for recruiting for the next season, I'm not even thinking about that at the moment. I'm thinking about winning against Jensen Beach. So, my focus is clearly just on who will play the up and coming week. And as far as that, I mean, like I said, we every week our roster is deep.
Yeah.
We're 6 deep at receiver, 7 deep at receiver, about 6, 7 deep at defensive back. 5 really good offensive linemen. We have about 4 to 5 really good defensive linemen. We have 4 linebackers that can start anywhere. And quarterback Darryl Clark, y'all saw what he could do. We have Jesse Scroggins and Richard Q who are learning, and they're coming along really well. So we don't have to go outside of our house to find anybody good.
Okay, that's good. But last week we kind of talked about maybe the Doom quarterback.
Yeah, he was a guy we were thinking about. But, Jesse Scroggins and Richard Q showed up this week ready to work.
Yeah.
So,
I'm so glad. I was like, I had one of those moments where I wanted to be our own. Like, I don't want to bring in somebody now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Keep with what we got.
I mean, the Havoc's really proven themselves as being deep at every position
Yeah.
that they need to be deep at.
Yeah.
And then kicker, that's the only thing I would say we haven't really tested the depth chart on that.
Kevin Weber, in all actuality, Kevin Weber is probably the most consistent player on the offensive side of the ball, which is our kicker.
I love it.
Okay, well, we have a feature that we like to call Dear Coach.
Dear Coach.
So what we have is letters, emails from the public.
Right.
Jamie, why don't you go ahead and take this one?
Well, okay, so there's one. If you want to ask the coach a question or a player a question, you can email that to asktthehavoc@gmail.com. ASKTHEHAVOC@gmail.com. And that's going to be up on your screens. You can see that too if you're watching this on Fox. So, first question. Where did you grow up, Coach?
I grew up in Darlington, South Carolina.
Okay. Come on, Josh, you in the house. You're going to have to answer these too.
I'm from Birmingham, Alabama.
Did I make a face?
You did.
I'm sorry.
You did. Whatever it is that your mouth doesn't say, your face will.
I know. Like, I'm as subtle as a Mack truck, y'all. It's going to show. So, all right. Back to you, Coach. How has your experience as a player helped you prepare you as a head coach?
I think a lot. It's very beneficial, I think I've experienced it all as a player, but, some things that being a player doesn't prepare you for as a coach, like the paperwork and things like that. So,
all right, so flip the script, Josh. Because he was a player, does that make him a better head coach?
Yeah, because he knows the game.
Right.
So he kind of can also add to what he knows and to help us get better. So.
Okay, that's good. All right, so what obstacles did you have to overcome to reach this stage in your life?
Oh, man. A lot. I just growing up from Darlington, there's not really many opportunities outside of being an athlete, because I don't know if you guys know a lot about Darlington. There really isn't anything to do but play sports or, indulge in the negative, So
right.
I tried to, sports was my way of just being able to get
rising
out
above everything else and just keeping focused. And, I think that you've had a great career, not only as a student athlete, but then you also went to the Baltimore Ravens. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then now back as a coach here. So you have. What about you, Josh? What do you think? What was your biggest obstacle?
Pretty much like I tell kids today, schoolwork is important.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was times when I was younger where, I didn't take schoolwork as serious as I should. So, now I kind of, I understand it, and I want to make sure the kids nowadays get that as well. Schoolwork is important.
With I'm going off script here for a second. You know how I do. With scholarships harder and harder to come by, and we all know the recent scandal that has broken major universities where celebrities paid and used athletic scholarships to get their kids into USC and some other schools. What do we say to these kids now that are coming up? I mean, what do we do? Because we can't always count on getting a ride. You know what I mean? It's got to be scholastic and it's got to be athletic. So how do we marry the two? How do we tell our kids to be successful in both?
Like I said, schoolwork, and you have to help yourself. You can't sit around and wait for your coach to do this and that for you. You kind of have to put yourself out. You have to market yourself. Technology is big in today's world, so there's no reason why you can't help your coach help you.
Right.
So, yeah.
And now, Coach, you're a dad. So what is your perspective on that question?
Well, I mean, just seeing it, from both, from almost every angle, from being a player to being a father to being a high school coach. I think a lot of kids, you have to do your part as well. You can't expect the coach to do everything for you because he can't sit in that classroom and do your work for you.
Right.
He can't be at home and do your homework for you. You just have to focus. Don't put yourself in compromising positions, and just, write 5 goals. And every day, those are your focuses.
There you go. Well, in a post-Blue Chips world, athletic, and then what we're looking at now with these controversies, I raised 2 boys, and my big thing was they both played sports, but I knew that wasn't the end-all for them. Mm-hmm. I thought they were good athletes, but I knew the reality. So they were going into college, but it was going to be on other terms. So like my youngest played tennis. He went to college, but not on a tennis scholarship. He went on academics, but then got to play tennis in college. So you got to make sure as a parent that we're making sure that they're prepped in both ways. And like you said, we're not expecting anybody to give you a handout. I'll give you a hand up, but I'm not giving you a hand out.
Right.
And there's a big difference in that. And I think that we got to have those conversations in sports and in academics in our school. So, all right. So that was fan mail and Jamie's tirade. I apologize again. AskTheHavoc@gmail.com. Get those in this week, and we will go on over them on next week's show.
Now, we have the, as we mentioned earlier, Jensen Beach Tigers. That's Sunday. Kickoff is at 3:05. You can get your tickets at the Florence Center box office, Ticketmaster.com. And the special feature.
Yeah, so it's family, football, and faith, which is great. And I also wanted to talk about, we are getting tons of views on Facebook Live, which is great. Love it. But if y'all haven't made it from behind the phone or the computer to a game, you got to come out and see it live. You got to experience the experience. I know that sounds crazy, but we love that you're watching it on Facebook. And if you can't make it out, we understand. But come sit in the stands. Come watch Josh. Come watch Coach. See this excitement that this team brings. See what they do for this community. You know, there's a big difference. So, yeah, go to Ticketmaster, get your tickets. This weekend, family, faith, and football. There's inflatables. We got gospel singers. It's going to be an amazing, amazing game on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. You know, that's one thing I would say. The Havoc, they have an amazing home field advantage because the crowd really gets into these games. One thing comes to mind was a very dramatic, almost cardiac arrest kind of feel at the end of the season opener.
Oh, yeah.
Where how much of an impact was the crowd? Because that was probably the closest game you guys had all season, was a season opener. How much of an impact was the home field attendance that night? Because they were really into it. Coach, I want you to answer that, but separately, I want Josh to answer that as well.
The crowd is always huge, always. You know, they're like the ninth man in a sense.
There you go.
So they play a huge part in what we do.
I like that. Josh, how does that inspire you when you're on the field?
It feels great, you know, to have the crowd behind your back 100%. You know, when the kicker goes up to kick the field goal and the crowd gets loud, kind of throws them off, and you know that field goal miss, you know, that put us on top. So.
And what about the end of the game? Okay, the kids are rushing the field. They want your autograph. How is that? I mean, that is one of the other things. Is you guys are so approachable. I don't think people realize when they're sitting in the stands with their family that they can come down, they can get your autograph, they can get a selfie. I mean, these players are your players, Florence. Come see them. Okay, that's my
Yeah, no, that's true. You know, I mean, that's one thing that you guys do at the end of home games, and I don't think people realize that.
Yeah,
is that you know the fans, the kids, they all get to go down on the field and get autographs from their favorite Carolina Havoc players.
Right.
So make sure you get your posters and all that, and
your footballs.
Your footballs.
Yeah.
And hit up Josh Smith. I know that he has a great autograph. It looks good on a football.
It does.
So.
Speaking of autograph footballs, rewind, Dennis. Coach.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't you owe me something?
I do.
Oh, what would that be, Coach?
I think a T-shirt.
And a autograph football?
Yes,
Then I rewound the tapes from the first show, and I made a list. Coach owes Jamie. Boom, 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 boom. It's getting longer.
Steve, you might want to get Jamie that T-shirt.
All right. As always, Coach Yarborough, thank you so much for joining us. Also, special thanks to our nose guard, Josh Smith. For Jamie Ulrey, I'm Dennis Davis. It's the Coach Yarborough Show.
Go Havoc.